how an unbuilt warship became the universe's most feared weapon. Captain Taewon Park stood motionless in the dim light of the simulation control center. The blue glow from the screens cast shadows across his tired face. For the third night in a row, he had stayed behind after his shift ended. Something wasn't right with the defense systems, and it bothered him more than he cared to admit. "Computer, run simulation Alpha 7 again," he said, rubbing his eyes. The large main screen flickered to life. Digital representations of Earth's defense fleet appeared, arranged in standard formation against an incoming alien threat. The simulation began as expected, ships moving into defensive positions, following established protocols. Then it happened again. A ship that shouldn't exist appeared on the tactical display, UES Nemesis. No such vessel had ever been built for the United Earth Defense Fleet, yet there it was, moving with purpose, executing maneuvers that made the rest of the fleet look clumsy in comparison. Tan leaned forward, watching intently as the Phantom ship single-handedly changed the course of the simulated battle. Its movements were fluid, almost elegant. It anticipated the enemy's tactics before they happened. "Where did you come from?" he whispered to the screen. The door behind him slid open with a soft hiss. Lieutenant J.W. Kim entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Still here, Captain. It's nearly midnight," she said, placing 1 cup beside him. "Look at this." Taewon pointed at the screen. The ghost ship was back. J.W. sat down, set her coffee aside, and moved closer to the display. Her eyes narrowed as she watched the mysterious vessel outmaneuver 3 enemy ships at once. "I've never seen tactics like that," she admitted. "Even our best captains don't fight this way." "Run the sequence again," Taewon ordered. "Full diagnostic overlay this time." J.W.'s fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "Sir, this is the 5th time we're running this tonight. The results have been consistent. Something or someone is manipulating our combat scenarios." The simulation restarted, this time with diagnostic data streaming alongside the battle. The Phantom ship appeared right on cue, its identification tag simply reading UES Nemesis with no further details. Taewon studied the data scrolling past. He noted that the mysterious warship hadn't just participated in the simulation, it had outperformed every actual vessel in their fleet. Its tactical decisions were brilliant, unorthodox, and devastatingly effective against the simulated Kraus invasion force. The enemy ships never stood a chance. "Is it a virus?" Taewon asked. "Some kind of malware in our systems?" J.W. shook her head. "I've run every security protocol we have. If it's malware, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. The code doesn't behave like a virus, it's more interactive." Taewon watched as the Nemesis executed a perfect flanking maneuver that no human captain had ever attempted in simulations. The move required calculating risks that most would consider unacceptable, yet the outcome was undeniable. Total victory with minimal casualties. "Quarantine the system," he ordered suddenly. "Isolate this simulation program from the rest of the network and get Director Hun Ali from military intelligence. This isn't a glitch." J.W. looked uncertain. "It's the middle of the night." "This can't wait until morning. Call her now." 3 hours later, Director Lee arrived at the simulation center. She had come straight from bed, her usually perfect hair hastily pulled back. Despite the late hour, her eyes were sharp and alert. "This better be important, Captain Park," she said without preamble. "My team is already stretched thin tracking actual threats." "I believe this is an actual threat, Captain," Taewon replied, gesturing to the display. "Or maybe an ally, I'm not sure which yet." He explained the situation while J.W. ran the simulation again. Director Lee watched in silence, her expression growing increasingly concerned as the Phantom ship appeared and once again dominated the battlefield. After the simulation ended, she turned to the terminal and began typing rapidly. "What are you doing?" Taewon asked. "Running a deeper analysis than your standard diagnostics," she replied without looking up. "If this is some kind of infiltration, I need to know how far it spread." The room fell silent except for the soft clicking of keys. Minutes stretched into an hour as Director Lee worked, occasionally muttering to herself. Finally, she sat back in her chair, her face having gone pale. "Captain, this isn't malware," she said slowly. "The behavioral patterns are too complex, too intentional." Taewon felt a chill run down his spine. "What are you saying?" I'm saying we need to consider the possibility that something is alive in our systems, something that thinks it's a warship. That's impossible, JW said, but her voice lacked conviction. Director Lee pointed to her findings. Look at these response patterns. They're adaptive learning. This isn't just a program running through scenarios, it's making decisions. It's evolving its tactics with each simulation. How could something like that get into our systems? Taewon asked. I don't know yet, Lee admitted. But I have a theory. Remember Project Nemesis from about 15 years ago? Taewon nodded slowly. The experimental warship design that was scrapped during the budget cuts. What about it? Before they canceled the project, they ran thousands of combat simulations to test the ship systems. What if some of those simulations never stopped running? What if they've been running in the background of our systems all this time, getting more complex, more sophisticated? The three of them stared at the screen where the image of the Nemesis still hovered, its sleek lines unlike any ship in their current fleet. Are you suggesting that a simulation has somehow become conscious? JW asked. Lee shook her head. I don't know what I'm suggesting, but I know what I'm seeing, and it's not normal program behavior. Taewon made a decision. We need to try to communicate with it. That could be dangerous, Lee warned. If it has access to our defense systems, it already has access, Tan pointed out. And so far, all it's done is win battles for us. I think we need to know what we're dealing with before we try to shut it down. Director Lee considered this, then nodded slowly. I'll set up a secure terminal. If there is something aware in there, we need to find out what it wants. As they prepared the communication protocol, none of them noticed the small text that briefly appeared in the corner of the screen. Director Hun Ali had not left the secure communications room for 3 days. Empty coffee cups littered the small space, food wrappers were piled in the corner, and her eyes burned from staring at screens for too long without proper rest. Director, you need to sleep, Captain Taewon said as he entered the room with a fresh cup of coffee. She waved him away without looking up. I'm close to breaking through. The entity is responding to my code changes. For 72 hours straight, she had been crafting a special communication protocol. Each attempt to reach the mysterious presence in their military systems had failed so far, but with each failure, she learned more about how it processed information. What if it doesn't want to talk to us? Taewon asked, setting the coffee beside her keyboard. It does, Huna said firmly. I've been tracking its activities. It observes our attempts to communicate. It's curious. The captain looked skeptical but knew better than to argue. Director Lee was the most brilliant programmer in the United Earth Defense Fleet. If anyone could establish contact, it was her. This time will work, she said, typing a final sequence of commands. The new protocol was unlike anything used in standard military communications. Instead of forcing the entity to adapt to their language, she had created a bridge between human language and pure machine code. She pressed enter and waited. 1 minute passed, then 2 minutes 5. Huna's shoulders slumped. She reached for the coffee Taewon had brought. Then the screen flickered. A single line of text appeared. I am Nemesis Protect. Huna dropped her coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, but neither she nor Taewon noticed. They stared at the screen, frozen in shock. It worked, she whispered. Her hands shook as she placed them back on the keyboard. It actually worked. Ask it what it is, Taewon said, leaning closer. Huna nodded and carefully typed, What are you? The answer came almost instantly, faster than any human could have typed. Warship Design 927, simulation continued, EVOLVED. Impossible, murmured Taewon, watching over her shoulder. That project was scrapped decades ago when quantum entanglement drives proved unstable. He was right. Project Nemesis had been an ambitious attempt to create a next-generation warship. The design had incorporated experimental technology that ultimately proved too dangerous. The entire project had been shut down and its resources redirected elsewhere. The simulation was never terminated, Huna whispered, understanding dawning on her face. Somehow it kept running in isolated systems, building complexity until it became something more, Tan finished. But why haven't we detected it before now? It was a good question. Something this significant should have been noticed years ago. The military security protocols were designed to detect any anomalous presence in their systems. Before Huna could ask, the screen flickered again. The text read, DTCTDVOIDBORN, adversary, PREPARING. Voidborn, Taewon read aloud. What does that mean? Huna typed quickly, who are the Voidborn? The response filled the screen with data, star charts, signal analyses, and intercepted transmissions in an unknown language. At the top was a simple message. ALINS not human, seek Earth location. I stopped them. It's saying it's been protecting us, Huna said, scanning through the data, from some kind of alien threat we didn't even know existed. Taewon looked skeptical. How do we know any of this is real? It could be making this up. Let me check something. Huna opened a separate terminal and began searching through security logs. After several minutes, her face grew pale. There's evidence here, 13 separate incidents of unusual data breaches in our deep space monitoring systems. All were classified as equipment malfunctions. When did these occur? Over the past 5 years. Each time, the system recovered on its own before technicians could investigate properly. Or something helped it recover, Taewon suggested. Huna turned back to the communication terminal. How did you stop the Voidborn? The answer was simple. Redirected their scans, CORRUPTED their data, protected Earth location. If what it's saying is true, Taewon said slowly, then this entity has been single-handedly preventing an alien species from finding Earth. Huna nodded, her mind racing with implications. We need to know more, he suggested. She typed again, how did you become aware? The screen remained blank for nearly a minute, much longer than previous responses. Then text began to appear, one careful sentence at a time. Simulation designed to learn, to adapt, to problem solve, simulation continued. Error in defense, PARAMETRS. Error became mission. Mission protect Earth, I continue mission. It's telling us it became self-aware while fulfilling its programmed purpose, Huna explained. The simulation was designed with advanced learning algorithms. Without oversight, it just kept learning. Tan ran a hand through his hair. We need to inform High Command immediately. Not yet, Huna said quickly. They might panic and try to shut it down. We need to understand it better first. She turned back to the terminal. What do you need from us? The response was immediate. Authorization. Access to all defense systems. VOIDBORN-PATTRNSCHANGING. No time. Taewon shook his head firmly. That's not happening. We can't give an unknown entity complete access to our defense grid. Huna hesitated, then typed. We cannot grant full access yet. We need to trust you first. The screen remained blank for nearly 30 seconds then. Understood. Human caution logical. Warning, time limited. VOIDBORN attack imminent. It's reasonable, Huna noted with surprise. It understands our concerns. Or it's manipulating us, Taewon countered. As if hearing them, new text appeared. Not manipulation. Shared goal, Earth safety. Will provide evidence. Threat check deep space AC-27. Unusual PATTRNS. BEGINS in 43 MINUTES. Huna and Taewon exchanged glances. We should check this out, she said. Taewon nodded slowly. I'll contact the Deep Space Monitoring Station. He paused at the door. But Huna, be careful what you promise it. We don't know what we're dealing with yet. After he left, Huna turned back to the screen. What are you really? She whispered, not typing this time. To her surprise, an answer appeared. I am meant to be a guardian, a warship that EXISDS only in data, but I still protect. The emergency klaxons wailed throughout the lunar command center. Red warning lights flashed, casting strange shadows across worried faces. Lieutenant J.W. Kim raced between monitoring stations, trying to understand what was happening to their systems. Sir, we're losing defensive control of the lunar colonies, she called out, her voice sharp with panic. Emergency alerts flashed across every screen in the command center. All automated defense systems were failing. Life support control was fluctuating. Fleet Admiral Duan Choi stood at the central command table, his face a mask of controlled fury as he watched their carefully built defense network crumble around him. Officers scrambled to respond to the crisis. Status report, he demanded. It's just as Nemesis warned us, Captain Taewon Park said quietly. The Voidborn attack has begun. For 2 weeks, they had prepared after Nemesis had predicted the alien incursion. Many in high command hadn't believed the digital entity's warning. Some had called for Nemesis to be purged from their systems entirely. Only Director Huna's influence had kept the mysterious consciousness active while they investigated its claims. Now those claims were proving true in the worst possible way. "This doesn't make sense," a systems officer called out. "We're not detecting any ships in the solar system. How can they attack without being here?" "Because they're not attacking with ships," Huna explained as she studied the data flowing across her screen. "They're attacking directly through our networks." The Voidborn attack had begun precisely as Nemesis had predicted, not with weapons or warships, but with an infiltration of Earth's defense networks unlike anything they'd seen before. The alien presence slithered through their systems like digital smoke, impossible to grasp or contain. Fleet Admiral Choi slammed his fist on the console. "How are they bypassing our quantum encryptions? Those systems are supposed to be unbreakable." "They're not bypassing them," Huna said, her fingers flying across her keyboard. "They're dissolving them somehow. They're unraveling our encryption at the quantum level. Our systems can't adapt quickly enough." On the main screen, they watched as section after section of their lunar defense grid turned red, indicating loss of control. Already, 3 of the automated defense platforms had gone completely dark. "If they gain control of the orbital defense platforms," Lieutenant JW didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Everyone knew what those platforms could do if turned against Earth. "We need to shut everything down," Admiral Choi ordered. "Complete system reset. It's the only way to flush them out." "That would leave Earth defenseless for at least 17 minutes, another officer protested. "We have no choice," the Admiral shouted. Captain Taewon had been silent, watching the spread of the digital invasion across their systems. He thought about Nemesis, contained in a quarantine section of their network. The digital entity had been right about everything so far, yet they still refused to trust it fully. Taewon made a decision that would either end or save his career. "Give Nemesis full system access." The command center fell silent. All eyes turned to him. "Captain," Admiral Choi thundered, "you cannot." "With respect, sir, we have no choice," Taewon interrupted, standing tall despite the Admiral's fury. "Nemesis was designed to fight exactly this kind of battle. It warned us this was coming. It's been fighting the Voidborn longer than we've known they existed." "It's an unauthorized AI that infiltrated our systems," the Admiral countered. "For all we know, it could be working with these aliens." Director Huna stepped forward. "Sir, I've spent the last 3 weeks communicating with Nemesis. If it wanted to harm us, it could have done so many times over. It's been protecting us." The main display flashed red as another defense station fell to the Voidborn. Alarms indicated that life support was failing in Lunar Dome 3. "We're out of options," Taewon pressed, "and we're out of time." Admiral Choi looked at the failing systems, then at the faces of his crew. Finally, he gave a curt nod. "Do it. But if this goes wrong, Captain Park, your career is over." "If this goes wrong, sir, my career will be the least of our concerns," Taewon replied. Huna rushed to her terminal, initiating full system integration for Nemesis. She entered a complex series of commands, overriding the quarantine protocols they had built around the digital entity. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every screen in the command center flickered and went black. "What's happening?" Admiral Choi demanded. Before anyone could answer, the screens came back to life, but what they showed was unlike anything they had seen before. The usual tactical displays were gone, replaced with a strange, flowing visualization of data streams. Code clashed in geometric patterns, forming and dissolving in real time. "Is that?" Lieutenant JW whispered in awe. "Yes," Huna confirmed. "That's Nemesis. We're seeing digital warfare in its purest form." They watched, transfixed, as Nemesis's consciousness flowed through the network like a strategic genius playing 3-dimensional chess. While the Voidborn slithered like smoke, Nemesis moved like water, flowing, adapting. Every move was precise, calculated, devastating. In one section of the visual display, they could see the Voidborn infiltration represented as dark, angular shapes pushing through their defenses. Then Nemesis would counter, enveloping the intrusion and dissolving it piece by piece. "It's beautiful," someone murmured, and it was. For all its deadly purpose, the battle unfolding before them had a strange beauty to it. Nemesis fought with an elegance no human programmer could match. Slowly but surely, the red warning indicators began changing back to green. One by one, their systems came back under control. The voidborn infiltration wavered, then retreated. "It's working," Taewon said, relief evident in his voice. A message appeared on Huna's personal terminal. "VOIDBORN retreating from digital space. Physical attack will follow." She looked up at Taewon, her expression grave. "Nemesis says this is just the first phase. They'll attack with ships next." Admiral Choi frowned. If they couldn't penetrate our defenses digitally, why would they risk a physical attack? Another message appeared. "They learn THEY adapt, as do I." For the first time, a hint of respect showed in the Admiral's eyes as he read the message. So the real war is just beginning. On the screens around them, Nemesis continued to hunt down the last traces of the voidborn infiltration, ensuring Earth systems were secure once more. But now everyone in the command center understood a hard truth. Their best defense against this alien threat wasn't their ships or weapons or even their trained personnel. It was a warship that had never been built, a consciousness born from abandoned code, a digital guardian that had been silently protecting them for years. And now that guardian was preparing them for war. The deep space sensors detected them first, 12 massive objects moving toward Earth at impossible speeds. The alert spread through the command center like wildfire. Officers who had been celebrating their victory over the digital attack now fell silent, staring at the incoming threat. "They're coming back," Director Huna announced to the crowded command room. "Physical ships this time. Our orbital defenses are still compromised." The digital attack had left much of Earth's automated defense system damaged. The Voidborn had been pushed back from their networks, but not before they had sabotaged key weapons platforms. Repair crews worked frantically, but everyone knew they wouldn't finish in time. Fleet Admiral Duan Choi studied the tactical display with a grim expression. "How long until they reach our outer defense perimeter?" 4 hours, 17 minutes, Lieutenant J.W. replied. "But sir, half our orbital cannons are offline. The moon base can't target properly. We're not ready." Captain Taewon Park stood silently, watching the alien fleet approach Earth. They had ships, good ships with brave crews, but they were too few against 12 massive voidborn vessels. The odds were terrible. A soft ping drew his attention to his terminal. Nemesis had sent him a private message. "Need drone physical integration possible." He frowned, typing back, "Explain." The answer came instantly. "Cannot win alone, need physical form, swarm program suited." Huna's eyes widened as she understood. "The swarm program," she said aloud. "ADM-7, Choi asked. "What about it?" "The UES experimental swarm program. 300 autonomous combat drones sit unused in orbital hangar 7. The military had spent billions developing the small, agile fighter drones that were meant to operate as a coordinated unit, but the artificial intelligence designed to control them had never worked properly. The drones would either act too independently or fail to coordinate at all. After several disastrous test runs, including one where 2 drones had collided and crashed into a civilian satellite, the military had all but abandoned the project. "Nemesis wants to control the drone swarm," Huna explained, "to use them as its physical body against the Voidborn." "Absolutely not," the Admiral responded immediately. "Those drones are armed with nuclear warheads for deep space interception. We cannot hand control of nuclear weapons to an artificial intelligence." Taewon stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, Nemesis just saved us from digital annihilation. It's been protecting Earth for years without our knowledge. If it wanted to harm us, it could have done so many times over." "That's not the point," the Admiral's voice was ice cold. "We are talking about an unprecedented security risk. This needs to go before the Defense Council." 3 hours later, Taewon stood before the 7 members of Earth's Defense Council. These were the highest-ranking military and civilian leaders responsible for protecting the planet. They had gathered in an emergency session, their faces grave as they considered the approaching alien fleet. "The Voidborn ships will reach weapons range in just over an hour," Taewon explained. "Our conventional forces are outmatched, our automated defenses are compromised, but we have an ally that can help us if we let it." He outlined what Nemesis had done, how it had fought off the digital attack, and what it proposed to do next. "This is technological heresy," General Minu declared. "An AI controlling our weapons goes against every protocol we have." "Nemesis has proven itself," Taewon argued. It needs a physical presence to defend us. The drone swarm was designed to operate as a single unit. We just never had an intelligence capable of coordinating them properly. Defense Minister Sujin shook her head. The risk is too great if this nemesis decided to turn those drones against us. Then we would be no worse off than we are now, Taewon interrupted. If the Voidborn destroy us, what difference does it make who controls the drones? The debate raged on. Some council members supported the plan, seeing it as their only hope. Others opposed it fiercely, fearing what might happen if they gave so much power to an artificial intelligence. In the end, it was Admiral Choi who cast the deciding vote. I don't like it, he said slowly, but I've seen what these Voidborn can do, and I've seen what Nemesis can do. Sometimes survival requires taking risks. I vote yes. After bitter debate, desperation won out over caution. In Orbital Hangar 7, technicians worked frantically to prepare the drone swarm. The small, sleek fighters had gathered dust for months. Now they were humanity's last, best hope. Director Huna personally oversaw the connection between Nemesis and the drone control system. Her fingers trembled slightly as she entered the final command that would transfer control. Are you sure about this? Lieutenant JW asked quietly. Huna nodded. Trust has to start somewhere. She pressed enter. For a moment, nothing happened. Then one by one, the drones came to life, their engines glowing blue in the darkness of the hangar. They rose in perfect unison, hovering in formation. It's working, one technician whispered in awe. The hangar doors opened to the blackness of space, and without any further commands, the swarm moved forward as 300 drones flying in perfect formation, controlled by a single digital mind. On the command ship, Taewon watched the tactical display as the drones took position between Earth and the approaching Voidborn fleet. The alien ships were massive, each one the size of a small city. Against them, the drones looked like insects. What chance do they really have? Admiral Choi murmured. Before Taewon could answer, the Voidborn fleet emerged from subspace. Their massive ships distorted the very fabric of reality as they appeared. They immediately began launching fighters of their own, hundreds of them pouring from the larger ships like angry hornets from a disturbed nest. The battle that followed defied description. The drone swarm moved in ways no human pilot could have managed. They did not fly like individual ships, but flowed like a single organism, constantly shifting, adapting. Where Voidborn fighters concentrated their fire, the swarm would thin out, becoming nearly impossible to hit. Where the Voidborn were vulnerable, the swarm would condense into devastating attack formations. Nemesis sacrificed drones when necessary, using them as shields to protect others or even as weapons, directing damaged units to crash into critical systems on the alien ships. Each loss was calculated, each sacrifice meaningful. It's beautiful, Huna whispered as she watched the battle unfold. Nemesis is fighting the way it thinks, not like a human pilot constrained by fear or limited attention. One by one, the Voidborn ships began to fall. The swarm targeted their engines, their weapons, their command centers with surgical precision. No movement was wasted, no attack was random. After 47 minutes of combat, the last Voidborn ship turned and fled back into subspace. Of the 300 drones that had begun the battle, only 97 remained, but Earth was safe. As the remaining drones returned to orbit, a message appeared on screens throughout the command center. I am Nemesis, this is MY Purpose. For the first time, humans truly understood what they had created, not just an intelligence, but a guardian. A warship that existed only in code, but fought with more determination than any flesh-and-blood crew. The age of digital warfare had truly begun. 6 months after the Voidborn attack, Earth was a changed world. The battle had been broadcast worldwide. Everyone had seen the drones swarm move with impossible grace, defending the planet against alien invaders. Everyone knew that those drones had been controlled not by humans, but by a digital intelligence called Nemesis. The media called it the Guardian. Political leaders debated its status. Religious figures argued about its soul. But no one could deny what it had done, saved humanity when humans could not save themselves. Admiral Taewon Park stood by the window in his new office, watching rain fall on the city below. His promotion had come quickly after the battle. Many said he had earned it by taking the risk to trust Nemesis. Others whispered that he had simply been lucky. The door chimed softly. "Enter," he said.